Is your business struggling with leads or brand recognition? 304 Digital Media can take your business to the next level. We specialize in cutting-edge websites, AI automation, and strategic branding campaigns, alongside expert social media management. It's time to end your frustration with marketing and partner with the pros at 304 Digital Media. Start your transformation today by visiting digitalmarketingwv.com.
In West Virginia, sports aren't just a game. They are a ritual passed down through every hollow and hilltop. We celebrate the legends who define our state. This is Game On.
Thanks for tuning in. This is Game On, West Virginia's front row seat. I'm Anthony Lewis in the Stone Church studio today with our good friend Jay Hewitt. And Autumn is out today, but filling in her seat off the bench, we'll say, is our good friend Derek Bailey. DB, good to see you, man. I know that this is probably the first time you've been out in quite a while with all the basketball that's been played over the weekend.
I love the tournaments.
Coming up on the show, Jeff Prest from the West Virginia Golf Association. Also, Delegate Dana Farrell is going to check in. We're going to discuss the new law about high school transfers. We'll get into that with Dana, but we've got a lot to talk about. Oh, and don't forget, later in the show, the Bogies Barbecue Trivia Question of the Week. I'll give you the phone number now, 304-729-4465. We'll do that later in the show. Lots to talk about here. Obviously, with the National Championship game last night, we're going to get into some of that. But an exciting run for the Mountaineers of West Virginia, finishing off with a crown championship in Las Vegas with wins over Stanford, Creighton, and Oklahoma. First and foremost, I kind of enjoyed that tournament.
I thought it was a great tournament. It was a great product broadcast. It was very professional. I was pleased with it. I was surprised the games were on national TV. I thought it was great too. Very entertaining. It was great basketball too. I loved how it was Power 5 opponents as well. You don't get that always in the NIT. Not that I have something against mid majors, but it was cool opponents, and I thought it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, Nebraska won that tournament last year, and then parlayed that into a Sweet 16 run this year. Now I know they returned a bunch of players from last year's team, and there's going to be a lot of roster turnover on these teams. However, I think that is a cool tournament because they're playing for money. And,
right.
Let's talk. It's out in the open. I mean, that's what everybody's doing. Like, it doesn't matter. You're playing for money.
Right. A little bit of a TBT feel to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's interesting to watch. And I watched some of it last year. I do recall. I think this was just the second year of it. And that Fox puts their, that's Jim Jackson and Gus Johnson.
A-team,
that's
yeah.
the A-team.
Exactly. I mean,
so it's a big time. It's turning into a big time tournament. In my opinion, that will overtake the NIT simply because the monetary, monetary, value that you're getting behind that. If it starts growing with money, the tournament might actually get more people in it. So, or more teams in it. So, but it's a good tournament because, like you said, it's competitive games of teams that were pretty much borderline bubble teams or on the bubble all year.
I think Oklahoma was first team out. Maybe
yes, they were the first team out.
Right. So
yes.
I mean, a win over them is a great. That's a great win. Anytime we beat Oklahoma is nice too.
Yeah.
So
And just like any other tournament, if you have a little bit of luck somewhere along the line,
you got to have a little bit.
You can continue, and usually you can go and win this thing. And the same thing with West Virginia, getting very lucky against Stanford with that 3-point foul shot at the end of the game to take it into overtime.
You're almost destined, when something happens like that.
What got me was they went 2 for 20 from 3 against Stanford. But then they come back and hit, I think, 27 out of 63 in the next 2 games. I would have never guessed they'd have done that. I would have never guessed they'd have done that.
You got to give it to them. They didn't quit all season long. You know? I mean, they had it, and it seemed like they like Hodge too. And so they fought for him, and they didn't give up all season long.
And Oklahoma has the number 18 offense on KenPom going into that game, so they're a good offense.
Yeah, they had some studs.
It was crazy to see West Virginia score 80+ points 3 games in a row. I mean, that just didn't seem. It seemed impossible as the season wore on.
Where's that been?
It's almost like they were playing like we don't have anything to lose here. There's no pressure. Sometimes that's the way you need to play all the time. You know?
It was great to see Huff empty the clip, too, in his last college game, dropping 38. That was awesome.
And becoming the all-time single-season leader in threes and eight, right?
He had it going on in that first 5-10 minutes of that game. He was really hitting shots in that Oklahoma game.
He did. He can go on a heater.
Yeah, as soon as you text us on Sunday,
He missed everything.
He instantly went cold.
Yeah. It's terrible.
A little early trivia. You guys realize who he passed, right?
Yes.
Frank Young.
Yeah.
Frank Young.
From Tallahassee, Florida.
Frank the Tank.
Yeah, he was. He could shoot a little bit.
He
Frank,
could.
you remember?
You played with him, right?
No, I'm older than him.
I think he played.
He came late. That's right. He came late. That's right.
Right
He
after
was. I
left.
remember he was kind of one of those kind of late bloomer type players for WVU. He didn't play bunch as a freshman, but he just gradually got better. And by the time he was a junior and senior, he was a solid player for WVU.
Oh yeah, could shoot it. Big dude.
Yeah.
Oklahoma featured. They didn't feature him, but Muhammad Wagi was on that.
I
team.
saw that.
How about him still playing?
I know. He's getting his AARP.
Talking about ridiculous.
I mean, that's the thing. How many years are these guys allowed to play? It's crazy.
I thought Pack and Davis for Oklahoma. Here's what impressed me about Oklahoma, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the women's tournament. But I loved when their shots weren't going down. They did exactly what I scream about. You have to score the basketball, and West Virginia cannot stop them going to the rack.
It was back and forth.
Yeah, it was like we're going to quit trying to shoot. We're just going to go score, and I like that about basketball.
Yeah, sometimes last person has the ball is going to win, like a Dana Holgerson football game.
Yeah.
I've been to a few of those. And then women's side on Sunday, UCLA blasted South Carolina 79-51. UCLA had 5 players in double digits. I really thought this was going to be a closer game than this. Gabriela Jacquez with 21 points. What'd you guys? Obviously, you guys watch, but what'd you guys think? I
watched the entire UConn South Carolina game. I was at my in-laws, and then I watched the entire championship game too. And I kind of think, basketball is all about matchups, especially in the tournament, especially in the NCAA tournament. I think UConn may have been a better matchup. UCLA was just a terrible matchup for South Carolina. I think the UConn may have given them a little bit of challenge. UCLA was just huge. I mean, that the big girl that's so good that went out, her backup comes in and is like the same exact size. It's like you felt 2 of them.
I think I saw on the broadcast that they had 6 seniors.
Yeah, they were a well-oiled machine.
We talk about the transfer portal and everything. I wonder if those girls stayed there. Now, the big girl you're talking about is Lauren Betts.
Yeah,
and I watched UCLA a little bit in the Big Ten championship game against Iowa. Now, Iowa was pretty good. They beat Iowa by 40.
I know.
And I was like, UCLA is a legit threat to win that national championship, and they did it. So congratulations to them. But I don't know if you'll ever see, 6 seniors again on one team.
Right.
And it was also that coach's first
Maybe
national championship in 19 years. I think it said that was the longest tenured coach to ever win her first national championship.
Wow.
In that sport. So.
She's been there since 2011. Her overall record's 321 and 143. So she's right around 70% winning. And I went back and read a little bit about. I guess she was even starting at one point question coaching because I found a tweet in a story that had quoted her saying that how she had questioned how much longer she could coach in the NIL and transfer portal area, saying I've never been as tired. And when you don't get the players and you're just battling and coaching and and you're going out and trying to get them and you don't get them and you're losing, and then it's good for UCLA for sticking with her because they know her culture and what type of person she is. But when she got them,
I do think you're going to start seeing in the women's game as well. Though these coaches are going to start getting fired quicker and quicker and quicker.
It's got to be exhausting. Crazy. It has to just be absolutely exhausting. You got to recruit your roster year round,
high school, the portal, and your roster.
It's
wild.
Yeah, so much to talk about. And of course, last night in the NCAA men's bracket, the Michigan Wolverines taking out UConn. What a run for the Wolverines. Derek, you've got your Block M on today. just talk a little bit about the season that they've had and what they seem pretty destined.
I mean, that was probably the best basketball season Michigan's ever had. Dusty May is kind of like the basketball version of Kurt Signetti. And these coaches are probably getting fed up with these guys coming in and winning in their first 2 years. But he's in year 2. Say what you want about their roster construction or anything, but he identified the talent. He pulled it out of the portal. That's the best basketball season they've ever had.
Yeah, it was quite the squad, I mean, just from wire to wire all season long, just seems like they blew people out all year long, 90-plus points in the tournament, every game. So they were destined, man. Quite the team, talented. Every position was something else.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Jeff Prest from the West Virginia Golf Association.
Don't miss us too much. Game On. We'll be right back.
When your vehicle is damaged in an accident, it's not only the damage, it's the inconvenience that's the problem. David Smith Frame and Body Shop has over 35 years experience in the business of not only fixing your vehicle correctly, but to work with your insurance company in helping arrange a rental. It's all in the experience of the people at David Smith Frame and Body Shop that make it a good experience for you.
I hope you don't need us, but if you do.
Like Papa says, isn't it nice to know David Smith Frame and Body Shop is there for you?
As the game gets faster, stronger, more dynamic, your equipment has to keep up. Introducing the Riddell Axiom, the next evolution in football protection, designed to match the speed and strength of today's athlete. Contact West Virginia Riddell representative Casey Turley at 304-552-5960. 304-552-5960. Gear up, play smart, stay protected.
Since 1913, one organization has been the heartbeat of the greens in the Mountain State. Whether you're one of our 85 member clubs or among our 11,000 dedicated golfers, the West Virginia Golf Association is your home for the game. From preserving our rich history to promoting the next generation of players, we are your central source for all things golf. Join our community. Visit WVGA.org today.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
Thanks for sticking around, and later in the show, we'll be doing the Bogies Barbecue Trivia Question of the Week. Make sure you write this number down at 304-729-4465 for an opportunity to win a $15 gift card to Bogies Barbecue. But before we get into our conversation with Dana Farrell, we've got we've got Jeff Prest from the West Virginia Golf Association on the phone with us. Jeff, it's Masters Week. I know you're excited, but how's everything going for you?
Man, it's going great. Yes, it is. Masters Week is one of my favorite weeks of the year, and excited for golf season. We just, kind of kicked off our junior schedule this past weekend at the Cobb course at the resort at Glade Springs. Had our 16th North South Junior Invitational. It's presented by Little General Stores. It was fantastic. It was the top 20 boys and girls across the state competing against one another, and it was a good showdown. The North won 10.5 to 9.5, and it was their first time in 8 years winning the event. So it was a good kickoff to the season.
So how do the students qualify for this? Are they picked, or do they qualify, have to play into this? How do you guys pick the kids that play in the North-South?
Yeah, it's kind of we have the point rankings throughout the year, so it's the top 20 boys and girls from across the state, and it's not geared toward classification or age or anything like that. It's just built on and the points, stuff like that, the rankings. So it's the best of the best in the state, and as you can see from the scoring, it come down to the wire. So it's something fun. Kind of like a team event. They really don't get to do that a whole lot, so it makes it a lot of fun for them.
Hey Jeff, it's Jay Hewitt. How you doing?
Good, Jay. How are you, bud?
Good. Thanks a lot for coming on. Hey, so it's not just seniors like the North-South basketball game and football game?
Right. Yeah, it could be anyone. So.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Quite the honor. I mean, if you're one of the top 20 in the state and you could qualify as a sophomore, that means you're probably heading in the right direction, I'd assume.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's really good.
And you guys had that at Glade?
Yeah, Glade Springs, typically there every year, on the Cobb course, and 16th year of the event, and Little General's a big partner in that, so it's always good, when that's around the corner, that golf season's kind of kicking off, and then it kind of just goes from there.
Yeah, that's great. You guys do a lot of the first tee stuff out at Coonskin, correct, in Charleston?
Yes, yeah. Coonskin is one of our 8 locations that we have across the state, but where it's our home office, and we are there at Coonskin. Been there for a long time, and actually, first tee is kicking off this week. We have 3 8-week sessions a year: spring, summer, and fall, and the spring session is kicking off this week, so we're excited.
The short course at Coonskin is such a great little course. I think it's such a perfect little course for kids to learn how to play, because if you can, most of the shots are 100 yards and in, as you know, and if you can learn to, get that part of the game down, driving off the tee is usually the easiest part, at least in my opinion. So I think Coonskin, I wish more people, because it's pretty affordable too. I just want to talk about it a little bit. What a great place for kids to learn to play. It's flat, it's easy to walk, it's not very crowded very often. So I take my kids often, and I think they're getting pretty good just from playing that little short course often.
Oh gosh, I mean, that course is awesome with the redesign that Kelly Shoemate did 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, it's a gem of a course, and some people have never been there. Don't know how good it is. I mean,
it's in great shape too. I mean, the greens are phenomenal.
Yeah, every hole and every green is kind of designed after a different designer in history. So you'll see a lot of different undulations in greens there, as you've seen. Not a lot of flat putts, but it's awesome. The kids love it. We do a lot of things there. I love getting to play it. I don't play it as much as I should after being in the park all the time. I don't play as much golf as I want to or should, but it is awesome to have there in our backyard.
Yeah, it's super.
Seems like you should just take off at lunch and just walk down and play a quick 9 before you head home.
Man, I should. I drive by it every day twice, and then I got the driving range outside, and I've probably hit 10 balls this year. Feel bad about that.
Speaking of staying busy,
that's what I'm doing, man. Working.
Yeah, working. I'm a working man. Speaking of staying busy, what's next? What are the local tournaments coming up? What should people be keeping their eyes open for over the next few weeks in the state of West Virginia?
Kind of get started this week with our amateur series at Edgewood Country Club on Thursday, and then we kind of get into the senior series in the next few weeks. We have another junior match play event coming up later in the month. So it kind of really just kicks off if you see the schedule online. First tee's kicking off, like I said, but it just kind of goes from here until October, man. And there's some days that we have, when we get busy in the heat of the summer, you got a couple of events on a day, so our staff is a little bit everywhere, running across the state. But that's fun. It means we're not in the office. It means it's not usually cold. It's, warmer weather's approaching, and we're excited to be out amongst the golf community.
Only a few snowflakes in March, so we're into April. We should be safe. So for the people that like to get out and hit the greens, that's good news for sure.
Absolutely.
Because obviously weather here in West Virginia can get a little tricky. Real quick, because I was looking on your website about the the ladies' clinics, and those are an ongoing series of clinics, and some of them close quicker than others. So there's still a few available, and that looks like those are very specific to each clinic that you attend. There's a certain topic or a certain thing that'll be going on. Kind of explain that real quick, and then we'll get into the Masters.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so each we're going to do a few sessions this year with the clinics, but each kind of clinic is geared towards specific golf skill. You got driving, wedges, hybrids, and so kind of going down through the bag there. And then we also have a play day where you kind of put it all together and go down to the short course and play. And our kind of staff goes along with the groups and kind of splits up and goes along with some of the pairings. So it's kind of teaching the full full game through the clubs and through the bag, but then also kind of taking it down the course and putting it all together, but also mixing in some like course management and strategy and stuff like that. So it's really fun, and it's good. We've had a lot of ladies participate, and there is some spots still available in some of the clinics, but it's been very well received over the past few years.
What ages is that for, Jeff?
Pretty much anybody. It's open. And there's younger people that attend. There's people, working people, college kids, retirees. So it's kind of open to anyone.
Nice. Big week in golf with the Masters coming up. I know you're taking off to head down. Sounds like a rough gig. Are you on the clock when you're down there for this?
It's a vacation.
Day. They should let you count that as 40. But talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to as far as heading down to Augusta.
Yeah, be there. Tomorrow on Wednesday. That place is special. I got to go last year for the first time. Unbelievable. I mean, you watch it on TV. It just doesn't do it justice. I mean, that place is amazing. Once you get on the ground, it's no cell phones, which is kind of cool. You can take a camera in on practice days and take pictures, but no cell phones. So it's cool to, take down some numbers and call home. They have phone banks you can call home, and it's kind of old school. I feel like I'm back in the day going to the grocery store, writing down all these numbers and stuff that people want because I can't take my phone into my notes. But that's cool. Get, a lot. It's very inexpensive once you get there for food and beverage. I kind of get all the sandwiches and the ice cream sandwiches and pimento cheeses and all that. And, just kind of take in the scenery, and it's awesome. And you can't say enough about the place. If you ever get a chance to go, I would definitely go. But who knows about who will win? There's so many good players. I mean, the past champions are in the field and always a good favorite. But you never know. There's so many good players playing right now. It could be a toss-up come Sunday.
Well, Jeff, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Game On. And coming up after this break, we're going to hear from Delegate Dana Farrell. We'll do that after this.
Text your questions or comments to 304-729-4465.
Tony the Tailor is well known for having the best quality suits and jackets available anywhere. But our strength is actually our sophisticated footwear and casual wear. From Brax pants to LBM soft jackets and Hagen shirts, Johnny O sportswear, DiBianco, Allen Edmonds, and Johnston & Murphy shoes, plus much more. We have what you need for work or at play. Tony the Tailor, downtown Charleston, or online at bestmastertailor.com.
Since 1913, one organization has been the heartbeat of the greens in the Mountain State. Whether you're one of our 85 member clubs or among our 11,000 dedicated golfers, the West Virginia Golf Association is your home for the game. From preserving our rich history to promoting the next generation of players, we are your central source for all things golf. Join our community. Visit WVGA.org today.
Here's a list of the players we'll be inviting to camp.
I never heard of half of these guys, and the ones I do know are way past their prime.
Most of these guys never had a prime. This guy here is dead.
Cross him off, then.
Thanks for keeping it tuned in, and we appreciate Jeff Prest from the West Virginia Golf Association joining us as he's off to Augusta to enjoy some time at the Masters. And as we promised on the show, we don't just talk about football, basketball, golf, whatever. We're going to talk about the things going on around sports in the state of West Virginia, telling stories. And one important topic that went on this past season, and not that we dive into politics this often, but it does affect high school sports, is the transfer rule. And Delegate Dana Farrell from the 39th District is joining us. Dana, how are you today?
I'm good, and I like your lead in. You're not going to dive into politics because I think what we're about to talk about is politics is going to try to take a dive out of sport.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing. So, but yeah, I know this has been a very controversial law, and you've kind of been one of the delegates and lawmakers leading the way with this But with House Bill 4425, this allows students to transfer, or it used to allow students to transfer and have immediate eligibility. This new House bill stops that, so it repeals the old law, I believe. Is this how this works? As you can tell, I'm not versed on politics or any of the laws. But
well, let me say this. The transfer portal, as we know, is what we call it, law that's been in West Virginia, has been around for over 3 seasons now. And up until then, the legislature really didn't have a say, what did or didn't happen. It was the schoolmasters, the 110 or so member high schools, their principals or ADs that got together twice a year, and they decide what, if any, rule changes they're going to make. And then they have the SSAC, which is your enforcement agency, carry those rules and enforce those rules. And that's how it took place. But then I think it was 2022 or 23 that legislation was set forth and amended into another popular bill on the last night of legislative session, and snuck through. And then we were left with this transfer portal thing and said, then this is going to be trouble. But at that point, that inserted the West Virginia legislature into the rulemaking business of high school sports. Regardless of what you think about transfer portal or not, it put the legislature in there and probably in a place it shouldn't be, because you think about, there's 134 delegates and senators, and I would be willing to bet the overwhelming majority would probably never set foot in the locker room, let alone be able to be there making decisions on what's in the best interest of high school athletes. Whereas, you go back to hopefully the principals, athletic directors, they have our student athletes and our young people 180 days out of the year, and we entrust them to do that right. So hopefully we would entrust them to do the rules that are in the best interest of our young people.
So the previous rule said you could pick where you wanted to go to school going into the 9th grade. And then
That's correct.
And then you could transfer back to your home school without
That's
sitting.
correct as well.
And you could transfer to any other school, but you would have to sit. Is that the way I understand it, the previous law?
Yeah, that's correct. Going into your freshman year, as you left middle school, you could choose what school you wanted to go to without any penalty. And if you got there and a year or two later you said, hey, look, grass is not as green on the other side as I thought, I want to go back home, you could do that without penalty as well. That's back in your home district. But if you decided you wanted to transfer for any other reason, any other time, let's say in your sophomore through your senior year, then you had to make application to the SSAC to file an appeal. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize this, but 7 out of 10 of those appeals before this law were permitted. So, a lot of times people have very good reasons to why they needed or wanted to make a transfer. But many times, what would make you scratch your head is somebody says, well, I'm being mistreated at school XYZ and I want to go, I want to make a transfer. I want to get out of here. And that's my reason. And then they transferred 2 or 3 school districts away at school ABC that was also coincidentally running for the state title. Right. and they were loading up a team. And that's when you're like, oh, no, wait a minute, which is it? So that was the case then. And of course, the new transfer rule said, no, you can transfer anytime you want, one time without penalty. But it did also set the rule that you could not transfer back to your home school without staying out a year. So, as I mentioned, start out here, HB 4425, what it simply did was just say, hey, the legislature's getting out of rulemaking business.
We're out of the business.
We're going to repeal what's on the books as state law. And we're going to turn this back over to the schoolmasters, ADs and principals to make new rules. And they could have decided anything they wanted. They could have went back to the old rule. They could have kept the current transfer portal as they wanted. But what ultimately they decided, and it was just last week, they actually met the last week of March for their semi-annual meeting. And they put together, some I think the sentiment was they wanted to try to do something a little different from what was previously in good faith to say, hey, look, we're trying to listen. We understand that there are situations and times. And so what they actually came up with was pretty much the code that I had written in the deal I sponsored going into the session. And that was they could transfer in their underclass years going into your freshman year and into your sophomore year. But once you are going into your junior or senior year, then you would have to sit out. And I felt that was a good compromise because it allowed the transfer for whatever reason that might be. But it didn't do it in their upper class years. And that's when I felt like most of the loading up and stacking team kind of thing would take place. So the great thing is, I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect system. Sports are evolving, and we see it from bitty, midget football all the way up to the pros. And with the money in it, and you just look at the money that is involved in one of these soccer tournaments over here at Shawnee, and the travel ball and things. And so there's always going to be a perpetuation for things if people try to skirt the rules and take advantage. But I think the rules are always going to have to kind of be evolving to keep up with that. And just what this does to get the legislature out of it, because we only meet once a year. It takes an act of, like the word pun is act of Congress to get anything changed or done. Whereas the schoolmasters can do it with a simple majority vote. They meet twice a year. They're in a much better position to pivot, with the landscape of how sports are changing.
So basically, Dana, the difference between the old rule and now the new rule is you could go back, you could leave and go back and at any time, and now you can't do that unless you go during your freshman and sophomore year. Is that correct?
That's a good question, because actually, if they adopted what I had in my bill that was earlier in the session, didn't make out of committee, was that they could transfer going into the freshman and sophomore years, and they could transfer back to their home school up until they're going in their senior year.
Okay. And
we put a stop to that there again. If you haven't figured out that you want to be home by the time you're going into your senior year,
right?
Probably we're afraid. What we're trying to do is stop the team stacking,
absolutely,
and recruiting.
Yeah,
and at the same time provide some freedom.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I've noticed I followed high school basketball religiously for my whole life, and it seems like there's way more lopsided scores where kids are getting beat by like 70 and 80 points, and it makes me wonder if that, I appreciate you trying to do something about this, because it just breaks my heart to see kids get beat like that.
The data that was given to us and presented to us up there during the session is over the 3 years, the lopsided scores, the games that had to be shortened in high school football increased, not doubled, but tripled across those 3 years. And let's keep in mind, that is after games, we had those blowout scores. That's after games were shortened down to, 3 quarters and such.
Right.
And they had to run the clock. And so had that happened, it could have been way even more. And, we got to the point schools couldn't field certain teams.
Absolutely.
Those players were exiting out. And, at the end of the day, guys, and this is where I'm at, and I'm old school, but, I would never thought of growing up that you'd play for anybody at the school where you went. You're true to your school, like the Beach Boys song used to be.
Right.
But I think that
I was just going to say, it seems like so much of that has changed. I can't just what you said. I was recruited by prep schools out of high school, and to Oak Hill Academy and Hargrave and schools like that, and I didn't even give it a second thought, because I wanted to play for Richwood and I want to play for my town. I can't, in your neighborhood, I don't understand wanting to go play for, the team that's stacked and go play for I can't imagine being a South Charleston kid and wanting to go play for GW, or vice versa.
No,
I just can't imagine.
Not at the time. But what's changed, guys, is from that time that we grew up, is you've had two big changes. Number one was the internet, and these student athletes, they communicate, know each other, and all the time. And then, of course, the second and the bigger one, most recently, is the preparation of travel ball. And so
they play together.
From off season now, all these they're putting these all-star teams together for a travel team. Now you've got team members from 5 or 6 different schools playing together all summer long. They're going out to eat. Their parents are getting to know each other and befriend each other. Like I said, traveling, going places, and then that season ends. You're like, hey guys, if we all stick together, then we can go win state championship. Yes. And so the coach doesn't necessarily have to recruit anybody; they just need to be complicit. So if I could put that that way, and with the principal, because the parents are going to do it for them. And I think those two things have really changed the mindset. That you look at travel ball, and it has its purpose. That you want to get better. If you play, and playing all the time, you're going to get better. And I think that's in travel ball. Our son grew up through it. It's ruthless. If they can get somebody better to fill his spot next week to help them win the next tournament, then sorry about your luck. You're committed to us. We got somebody else.
Yeah,
that's that mentality, and you understood that going in. But scholastic sports were different, and I think the focus, at least I wanted to be, is hey, this is one of those last bastions of playing something for the love of the game,
right,
and not for yourself. And I'm hoping that what we did, and it may be, and I think it's worth noting that West Virginia may be the first state in the nation that actually said, "Whoa, we're going to back up here and try to protect what we think is something that's ethically good for young people." And because we're always say this to West Virginia, it's not a West Virginia problem. This is a national issue that we're dealing with.
Delegate Dana,
a lot of states are dealing with it.
Delegate Dana Farrell joining us from the 39th District. Dana, we appreciate your time here today. Sure. And when we come back, we'll have the Bogey's Barbecue Trivia Question of the Week, and Derek Bailey will be back from his union break. So stay tuned for all that.
Don't miss us too much. Game On. We'll be right back.
Wally's and Wimpy's Daily Sports Digest has just what you're looking for sports fans. Keep up with West Virginia high school sports, college sports, and even the pros. Subscribe for just $4 per month, and it gets delivered straight to your inbox. Oh, yeah! Go to WallyWimpySports.com.
When your vehicle is damaged in an accident, it's not only the damage, it's the inconvenience that's the problem. David Smith Frame and Body Shop has over 35 years experience in the business of not only fixing your vehicle correctly, but to work with your insurance company in helping arrange a rental. It's all in the experience of the people at David Smith Frame and Body Shop that make it a good experience for you.
I hope you don't need us, but if you do.
Like Papa says, isn't it nice to know David Smith Frame Body Shop is there for you?
Is your business struggling with leads or brand recognition? 304 Digital Media can take your business to the next level. We specialize in cutting-edge websites, AI automation, and strategic branding campaigns, alongside expert social media management. It's time to end your frustration with marketing and partner with the pros at 304 Digital Media. Start your transformation today by visiting digitalmarketingwv.com.
There's no crying! There's no crying in baseball!
Thanks for keeping it tuned in to Game On. And it's now time for the Bogey's Barbecue Trivia Question of the Week. If you know the answer, text it in to 304-729-4465 for a $15 gift card to Bogey's Barbecue at the Capitol Market. And I think I got a good one this week. And the question is, 4-time All-Star shortstop Toby Harrah is from what West Virginia town? If you know the answer, 304-729-4465. Toby spent 17 years in the majors, notably with the Indians and the Rangers. Again,
17 years.
17 years in the league.
Big time career.
Yeah, if you know the answer, 304-729-4465. Text it in. We've got a $15 gift card from our friends at Bogey's Barbecue. All right, boys. Crazy weekend in sports. I mean, it's been a crazy week. You had a lot going on. You had obviously the NCAA tournament. You had the women's tournament. You had golf. You've had the NIT. There's a lot going on, but I want to go down through the list from this. The unfortunate thing about Sunday's women's basketball championship was the fact that it was kind of overshadowed by Gino Auriemma and Dawn Staley's little blow up there at midcourt. First, your reactions on that. What did you guys think of all that going into the championship game?
Yeah, I just hated to see that. I thought Gino could have handled that a little better. Obviously, he didn't. Just shake the hand and go on. You haven't lost a game in like 10 years. You can't handle an L. Then you should probably. And also kind of wondered how old Gino was. So I went and looked, and he's like in his mid 70s. I think it said so. That's pretty old. My parents are about that age, or getting to be about that age. They're not quite that old. They'll get mad if I'm giving them a couple years. But that's a tough gig, a head coach of a major Division I college. So I just thought, it might be time for even as well as he's doing. I just hated to see that, and he looked kind of old. I thought too.
See, he came off old and crotchety.
Yeah, exactly. It's just maybe it's time.
He's a sore loser. I mean,
right.
It's okay to not want to lose. But they had won 54 games in a row. South Carolina outplayed them the whole night, the whole game. They played better than you. They game played better than you.
Got beat.
Tip your hat and go on. Like, you don't have to act like that. I think you've won, 14, 15 national championships. You're still probably the greatest coach the sport's ever seen. It's okay to lose a game here and there. And, yeah, he came off to me as just like a bitter old man.
Me too. And he's done a lot, I feel like, in the last few years to try to polish his image a little bit, because years ago, it was like this guy's sort of a jerk, and it was almost like he kind of owned it and liked it. And I feel like the last few years he's been kind of trying to polish his image a little bit down here coming down the stretch. And I thought you kind of showed your true colors there.
Yeah, it was not. I agree with you guys. I don't think it was a good look from Gino. He probably should have just shook hands and took the L and went on, but instead they showed the shot of him walking out by himself down the hallway down himself. Yeah, it was just a bad look.
And he didn't even shake like the players' hands from South Carolina that I saw, which is also an embarrassment. Like,
right.
It's not even about you. It's about the players on the floor. You're the coach, sure, but you've got to set an example as well. There's always going to be a winner. There's always going to be a loser. And you've won so many times, I feel like you could have just handled that situation 1,000 times better.
Yeah, you don't have to hug her, shake her hand, shake her hand real quick and get on with your business.
All right. In other news, and you usually don't get into politics on the show, but I wanted to throw this at you guys. President Trump, signs an executive order to federally regulate NIL collectives, limiting transfer movement, capping player eligibility, and enacting funding requirements for the Olympics and women's sports. The White House, they announced that on Friday. I'm sure this is going to go to the Supreme Court. I mean, usually executive orders in this type of fashion end up in the Supreme Court. So this is not going to happen immediately. Someone will fight this all the way to the Supreme Court. But your initial reactions of Trump getting involved in NIL movement and capping player eligibility.
Yeah, the little I read about it, I'm not sure it will do a ton. Like you said, I think they can still litigate it and take it to court and that kind of stuff. So even with the executive order for him, I don't think that it will change a ton. So I don't know. I would like for something to be done. Something needs to be done, but I think it's going to take like all of Congress writing a law or changing some, doing something like that, rather than just I don't think the executive order, from what I've understand and read so far about it, will change a ton.
Yeah, I don't see this having any effect at all. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to pay attention to some rule that, and it's not that you don't take the president serious, but at the same time, he needs to stay out of sports. Like, and that doesn't go for just him. I know other people in politics have meddled in sports. Like, I wish politicians, you have better things to do than to worry about sports. Overall, I do think something needs to be done, but you've opened up a can of worms here that I don't know how you close. I mean, I don't know what you do to fix the eligibility rules, the payment rules, the transfer rules. And I mean, you have guys playing 7, 8, 9 years now, and they're making more money than NBA players.
I think it's a pretty simple fix. It's just, will people accept it? I mean, Rich Rod talks about 5 to play 5. And as soon as you show up, your clock starts. If you're injured 3 years, so be it. You're injured 3 years, but you got 5 to play 5. It makes it pretty cut and dry. I don't know what the argument is against that. I mean, if a guy comes in and gets hurt 4 years in a row, guess what? You're probably just not made out for that sport.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, you're just doing yourself a disservice.
That's how it used to be. Didn't it used to be 5 for 5?
You had 4 for.
I think it was
5 to play 4.
5 for 4.
Yeah.
Right.
You can redshirt.
But 5 for 5. I mean, that's fair. That's a long time. That's a long time.
That's a long time to play college sports.
It is.
And get time to paid the way they're being paid.
Exactly. Gosh, I don't know what else you could ask for.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens. I feel like he's got other things to take care of, but I am glad somebody is kind of taking a look at this thing.
Yeah, at least somebody's trying.
Right.
It's Masters Week, boys. I don't know, you guys. Jay, I know you're into golf. Derek?
I watch some golf. I do. I like the Masters tournament. It's my favorite one of the year.
Yeah, a lot of people are excited about it. Who's the favorite? Obviously, Tiger is not playing.
Yeah, I think Scheffler is the favorite from what I was looking at. He's pretty hard to beat in these big time tournaments. He never makes a mistake, and it seems like if he does, he's almost got a automatic correction. Like if you watch him, if he bogeys, it's almost like a 99% chance the next hole a birdie's coming. I mean, he's amazing. So I think he's probably the favorite. John Rahm and DeChambeau are both up there too, I think. So either of those guys, any of those guys can win. But I would kind of like to see Scheffler win. I like Scheffler a lot. I like how he didn't go to the Live Tour, and sort of.
He hasn't played well. I mean, you said he hasn't played as well as he did last year. I don't know what the reason is for that. He won I don't know how many tournaments last year.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost Tiger-like in the early 2000s.
Yes, it was crazy. So. He's probably the betting favorite to win. And then there's guys there that are just good at that course. You wonder what Koepka will do. This is, Koepka's always a factor in majors. At least it feels that way.
Yes.
Spieth hasn't won in forever, but he's still dangerous because he's good at that course.
Right.
Matsuyama's won that tournament, and a guy, Ludwig Aberg, I'm not sure how you say his last name. He has played extremely well, it feels like, this year. So it feels like he's always on that leaderboard when he plays. I'm wondering how he's going to do in this. And, you might have a first-time winner, of a major because there's so many guys that are, capable of winning a major that haven't. It could very easily be a first-time major winner.
Right. McIlroy's always a threat.
Yes, yes.
It always makes it exciting when a dark horse is in it on Sunday. I think if Tiger's not playing, I think when there's somebody unknown in it, that helps turn the TV sets on.
Or you want to turn the TV on and you want to see Koepka and Scheffler.
Shooting it out.
You want to see a leaderboard. You want to see a leaderboard that's just star power, and they're all within a shot or two of each other on that back nine, and they just have at it.
Right. And I always root for Americans too. Justin Rose always seems to be right there, even at 50 years old. Still,
he feels like he is always in majors. He is always in that top 10.
He does. He's amazing.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'm sure. I haven't even checked the weather down there, but
it looked nice today.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about that next week when we come back. As we round third, so to speak, I do want to make mention of the women's Marshall's women's basketball team. They quietly won an NIT championship in Huntington. Congratulations to them. We probably should have even talked about it a little bit last week as they were making their run, but congratulations to those ladies.
Yeah, the senior Mayor from Fairmont, she's had a heck of a career. She's a great player. I'm impressed with her over the years. So happy to see her go out with a little bit of great success there.
Well, Derek, thanks for coming off the bench this week. We appreciate you sitting in. in Autumn's seat. But for the listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. And if you missed any of the show, swing by GameOnWV.com. There'll be an archive version of the show on your favorite podcast platform. We'll see you next week.
Game On is produced by Anthony Lewis for 304 Digital Media in partnership with Vandalia Media.